Good evening to all. Is it a bit loud or okay? Okay. On behalf of Ahimsa Trust, let me welcome Brother Phap and his team who has come and has been gracious to give their time for this evening here. In 2008, Thay came to India and he spent more than 1 month, and I was part of the team organizing. And the last part of his program was to visit some of the Buddhist places. And if you have heard this place called Nalanda, we were all staying. That was the army area. It was what we call it, the defense weapon they made, but it was vacant. And we took a special permission and we were all staying there. And everyone has to write, like Ajit, Delhi, whosoever is there. And Thay also has to write. He wrote Thay. And in his address column, he wrote here and now. So I think it's a wonderful, can we all be here and now in this space in the time and listen to Brother Phap and his team. I'm very sure that it will be very, very rewarding for all of us. With that, I pass on the mic to Brother Phap.
Thank you very, very much. It's such a pleasure and such an honor to be together with you again. I was just reflecting in the car on the way over here that it's been 5 years since the last time I was here in Delhi. 5 very eventful years. So for me, it feels like a homecoming. And I was actually there at the munitions factory. I think it was the munitions factory, wasn't it? That was an experience.
It's a defense ordnance factory.
The defense ordnance factory in Rajgir.
Yeah.
It was quite an interesting place for a group of Buddhist monastics and pilgrims to be.
More than 300 people.
Yeah, a lot. So here we are, the seeds that were planted on that visit and in previous visits have now come to fruition. And looking around the room, I'm reminded of a teaching that Thay gave us many years ago in Plum Village. I can't remember if it was just for the monastic community or it was also for the lay community. I think it was for everybody. But he said that when we come together as a Sangha, even if we haven't necessarily met each other yet, we recognize each other. There's a part of us that recognizes each other. It's like we've known each other for a long time. In Vietnamese, we have a phrase, we say ban ku. I guess you could say in English, old flame. This sense of familiarity. And I love this. And for me, that's the feeling that I have. Looking around the room this evening, I see so many friends I've seen before, and I also see new faces. And yet, even those I'm seeing for the first time, we have that sense of we are brothers and sisters that know each other very well. We're walking on this path together. And this quality of that sense of familiarity, that sense of knowing each other, caring for each other is one of the essential qualities of Sangha. And whether we're from Mumbai, whether we're from Delhi, whether we're from wherever we are, from Sydney, we have friends here this evening who've come all the way from Sydney, we're all practicing in Sanghas together and we all share that common bond. We all feel it when we come together. And so this evening, we have a chance to practice together. We have a chance to walk together. We have a chance to breathe together. We have a chance to share together. We have a chance to practice mindfulness together, to come fully to life. I was sharing with a friend earlier this evening, as we were just introducing each other, that mindfulness is something that is innate to each one of us. It's a natural quality of our mind, a natural quality of our heart. So for me, actually, I'll be very honest, I dislike the word mindfulness. This might come as a bit of a surprise to hear a monk say that they dislike the word mindfulness. And there's a reason for this. That is because in the West, in modern society, we associate the mind with the brain, only with the cognitive function. But in its original sense, the word sati or smriti can also be translated as heartfulness. In the Vedic philosophy, some of our friends today were learning about some Vedic philosophy at one of the temples. And in the Vedic philosophy of the Buddha's time, the seat of consciousness was not seen to be the brain as we would see it today. It was actually seen to be the heart. As if the sages of the old time, the reasoning was very simple. If your heart stops beating, then you're moving on to the next dimension. Nowadays, science will tell us that the heart consists of about 60% or more neural cells. And they have a kind of consciousness. In some of the East Asian languages, the word or character for mind or heart is the same. Chinese xin, Vietnamese dam. And we need to use an additional word to distinguish between mind and heart. It's equally valid and perhaps even more helpful for us in our modern society to translate sati as heartfulness, because it helps to remind us that mindfulness is not only a cognitive function, but it's an embodiment. It's the way we move through the world. It's not only an analytical aspect, although it does have that capacity as well. We tend to overanalyze everything. But with this practice of mindfulness, we're simply being present with the breath, being present with the step, being present with our loved ones, being present with the food, and experiencing things as they are. So this very first aspect of mindfulness or heartfulness is developing the capacity to stop all of our running. And most of our running is not with our bodies these days, but it's with our mind. So this evening, to begin our practice together, I really wanted to invite everybody to ground ourselves through the practice of walking meditation. So we're going to be led by Brother Hong Bang, and we're going to enjoy a practice of walking meditation. And I know that there are a few friends that might be new to the practice, so I'll share a couple of words about walking meditation in a moment. Then we'll come back in and we'll enjoy a guided sitting meditation, and then a few words, a talk. And we'll have some time for tea meditation, and we'll have a chance for sharing or questions and answers together. That will be our evening this evening. Does that sound like something that will be delicious? Okay, then we will do it. Mindfulness is a relaxed attention to what's taking place within us and around us, of recognizing. This is the first capacity of mindfulness, the capacity to recognize this moment for what it is, to be able to recognize that we're breathing, that we're walking, that we're fully alive. And in fact, this moment is the only moment we can be alive. The next moment hasn't come yet. Whatever happened before, it's gone. So this is the only moment we can be fully alive. That's a miracle. One of the greatest teachers, Master Rinzai, Master Lin Chi, he once said, it's not a miracle at all to walk on water. It's not a miracle to walk on clouds. The real miracle is to be able to take a step on the earth. So what did he mean by that? We can be so caught up in our thinking, up in the air. We can be floating away, 1,000 miles away. But the real miracle is when someone is able to be fully present for a step, fully present for a breath, not divided anymore. You're performing a miracle. You're fully alive. You're not walking around like a dead person. That step is a Dharma seal. That step is powerful. I remember walking behind my teacher Thay and seeing my teacher Thay take a step. And he would put 100% of his attention and intention in every step he took. In fact, in Plum Village, back in 1996 or 97, we gave each of the monastics a sticker to put in our shoes. And it simply had 100% on it. So he asked us to stick it in the shoes and to make sure that every time we took a step, we would be reminded to step with 100% of our attention. Whenever we were with another person, we would be with them with 100% of our attention. When we would eat, we would be with the food with 100% of our attention. This is a miracle. This is something that's possible. We come fully to life when we do this. Life is waiting for us. So the basis of all of our practice in the Plum-Buddhist tradition is following our breathing. So each of our breath is different, unique. Some people might breathe quite quickly, some people might breathe quite slowly. I'd like to invite everybody as we begin this evening together to bring your attention to your breath. That's closing your eyes gently. Just inviting the sense of attention to your breath that you would bring to meeting a dearly beloved friend you haven't seen for a long time. That sense of interest, that sense of curiosity, that sense of delight. So here we're meeting the old friend of our breath. And I invite you to become aware of the physical sensation of your breath, wherever you feel it the most. Perhaps the tip of your nose, perhaps the back of your throat, your sinuses, and your windpipe, your lungs. And noticing that on an in-breath, your abdomen rises. And then becoming aware of the physical sensation of an out-breath. Noticing your abdomen falling, perhaps being aware of the change of temperature between an in-breath and an out-breath. Be present for your in-breath as it is, and present for an out-breath just as it is. So once you've maintained awareness of your breath, you might notice that it's actually something that's very simple. Something that's very natural. Something that feels like a homecoming. And if we experience that sense of familiarity, that sense of homecoming, then that's what we call arriving. I love to tell the story of when I was asked to lead a retreat in Australia back in the year 2000. And I was asked to travel with a delegation from Plum Village in France to Australia. So we always buy the cheapest ticket that's possible. That's how we travel. So I flew from Bordeaux to Paris, and I was in Charles de Gaulle Airport for about 4 hours, which is not as romantic as it sounds. Those of us who've been to Charles de Gaulle, you know what I'm talking about. And so we were in the airport for quite a long time, and then we flew to Dubai. We were in the airport in Dubai for about 5 hours. Then we flew to Saigon, to Ho Chi Minh City. And we were locked in the airport, which was under construction in Ho Chi Minh City for about 10 hours at the airport. During that 10 hours, we were in a room, it was just it just had a cement floor, and they were playing Vietnamese opera the whole time, the whole 10 hours. And then we flew to Sydney, which is another 8.5 hours. And so by the time I arrived in Sydney, we'd been traveling for 40-something hours straight, constantly. And I walked up the stairs of the place that we were going to stay. I was carrying 2 bags. And those bags felt so heavy, just going up those stairs. Then I went into the room where I was staying. I put down those bags, and without any thought at all, what do you think I did? That was the next thing. But the first thing was, ah. I simply went, ah, when I put down those bags. So then I went to sleep, thank you. And after I woke up from the nap, I realized that this quality of that sense of ease, that sense of delight, that sense of being where I needed to be at my destination is exactly the embodied quality that we're speaking about when we invite people into the practice of arriving. arriving. One of our friends here is studying Tibetan Buddhism, and in Tibetan Buddhism they talk about seed syllables that contain the whole experience. Many of the most powerful seed syllables in the esoteric traditions are vowels. So if you ask me what is the seed syllable of arriving, it is the experience of what? Some of you are not quite there yet. Let's try it again. Okay. Ready? Not a sense of delight. Can we walk in such a way? Can we breathe in such a way? Can we sit in such a way that we experience this sense of with whatever we're doing? That's when we know that we're practicing correctly. Thay used to phrase it in terms of you will immediately feel a relief. I like to phrase it in terms of you experience this sense of not running anymore. So as we stand up and we begin to practice walking meditation together, we'll combine our breath and our steps. We can be aware of the sights that we see, different shades of green, the different colors and forms. We can be aware of the sounds that we hear, the smells that we come into contact with. And as we combine our breath and our steps, let's walk in such a way that as we place our feet on the earth, placing them solidly, firmly, and also with that sense of putting down what kind of bags? Putting down the bags of our projects, our anxieties, our worries, our need for this moment to be anything other than what it is. To be able to touch this moment as it is, to meet the moment as it is, to become fully alive. This is something that we can do. This is a miracle that we can perform together. So Brother Hongbang will guide us for walking meditation. We'll walk outside in the very beautiful garden, and we'll make our way back inside for a period of guided sitting meditation. Let us stand up together, and we'll follow Brother Hongbang.
Make the way out.
Beloved son, as we come into the room, I invite you to find a comfortable sitting position that you feel upright, stable, and relaxed. If we're sitting on a chair, we can sit on the first third or half of the chair cushion so that we're not leaning against the back. We can have our 2 feet firmly on the floor. If we're sitting on a cushion, I invite you to sit in such a way, if at all possible, that your 2 knees are in contact with the earth. You can, once you've established a firm foundation, take a moment to just rock your body from side to side. And as you do so, invite a sense of uprightness to your spine. Invite each vertebrae to rest one on top of the other, like a stack of coins. You might notice that you gain a couple of centimeters in height as you do so. Once you've invited that sense of uprightness to your spine, decompressing all of your internal organs, I invite you to simply relax as many of your muscles as possible. There's a sense of uprightness. There's also a sense of ease, a sense of relaxation. You can rest your 2 hands in your lap, or you can rest your 2 hands on your knees if you find that more comfortable. Just take a moment to consider all the experiences that you've had up until this moment today. Take a moment to just breathe them all out, to let them go. Gather all of your attention in, provided here in this place, in this time with this group of people in this space. I invite you to become aware of all of the sounds that you hear in this moment. Loud sounds, soft sounds, sounds that are near, sounds that are far away. A whole kaleidoscope of sound. I notice how sounds come and go. You might also notice and become curious about sounds that you find pleasant. Why do you find them pleasant? Sounds that you find unpleasant. Why do you find them unpleasant? And so on. Not judging or evaluating your reaction in any way. Simply noticing, simply becoming curious. All the sounds that make up this moment. Gently letting go of our awareness of sound. We become aware of fragrances as we breathe in. Each breath has a different fragrance. Some are subtle, some are more strong. As you breathe in, just become aware of the fragrance of each breath and notice your response to it. Feels like the right moment for you. You can let go of your awareness of fragrance and invite a sense of awareness to the sensations of your body. Perhaps by beginning to become aware of the strongest areas of sensation in your body at this moment in time, which might be for many of you the sensation of contact between your body and the chair, your body and the cushion, the weight of your body pressing against the floor, your feet on the floor. You might be aware of the sensation of your forearms, your hands pressing against your lap, pressing against each other. You might become aware of the sensation of the clothes on your skin, the different temperatures between the parts of your body that are covered by clothes and those that are exposed to the air. Just allowing your body to reveal itself to you through sensation. Beginning by being aware of the sensations on the surface of your skin, and perhaps becoming aware of any internal sensations that you're aware of. Slowly and gently, when it feels like the right time for you, I invite you to gather in all of your attention to become aware of the physical sensation of your in-breath and the physical sensation of your out-breath. That's becoming aware of that first touch of air, somewhere between the tip of your nostril, top of your lip. Like air first touches your body and enters your body and becomes what we call breath. From that first moment, that first physical touch of air, following and becoming sensitive to the physical sensation of your entire in-breath. And then from the first moment of an out-breath, when the abdomen begins to fold, following all the physical sensations of your out-breath, all the way through, without changing your breath in any way. Aware of my in-breath, all the way through. Aware of my out-breath, all the way through. So we continue to be aware of our in-breath and out-breath. Let's broaden our awareness and become aware of how our whole body expands on an in-breath and how our whole body contracts on an out-breath. In-breath involves the entire body. The out-breath involves the entire body. There are so many subtle movements of expansion and contraction that take place with an in-breath and an out-breath. Breathing in, I'm aware that my body expands and opens. Breathing out, I'm aware that my body contracts. continue to be aware of my whole body, sense of in-breath, my whole body, sense of out-breath. I bring awareness to my mind. And I notice that my mind is calming down. And I also notice that my body is feeling more easeful, aware of calm, aware of ease, manifesting naturally in my body and in my mind. As I breathe in and breathe out, I bring awareness to conditions of happiness that I enjoy in the here and now. These might be very simple things, such as at this moment I don't have any pain in my body. At this moment I'm breathing. At this moment I'm sitting in a safe place together with the sun. And I smile with every cell of my body to those conditions of happiness that I'm enjoying in the here and now. As I breathe out, I release my need for things to be any different. Breathing in, smiling the smile of realization with every cell of my body. Breathing out, releasing. As I breathe in and I breathe out, I establish myself firmly in this present moment, knowing that this is the only moment that I can be fully alive. Present moment, only moment. Breathing in, this is my in breath, just as it is. Breathing out, this is my out breath, just as it is. Now just taking a few last moments, be fully present with our in breath and out breath. Just take a few moments to send some gratitude to ourselves for spending time to cultivate this awareness. And gradually, perhaps flex our hands, roll our shoulders, let's turn our head from side to side. And it feels like the right moment, we can open our eyes, just notice all forms and colors. Just bringing ourselves back to a more everyday form of awareness while maintaining this contact with our breath, with our body. And enjoy the sound of the bell. Dear beloved community, I wanted to take this moment to just thank each of you for being here and to thank all of the organizers for making this evening possible. There's been so much love and care and planning put into this evening, so much work. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart and the bottom of all of our hearts from Mountain Spring. I felt such delight when I was coming back to India, especially to have the chance to be together with the Delhi Sangha. It seems like such an incredible gift. When you think about all the different places we were, even today, let alone just a few weeks ago, or a year ago, or 3 years ago, the fact that we're all sitting together in this room right here and right now, it's nothing short of a miracle. How many other places could we have been? But here we are all together. This is truly a wonderful moment. When I was here 5 years ago, there was no such thing as a Mountain Spring Monastery. It was still just a twinkle in the Buddha's eye. And then in 2020, I'd actually asked the Sangha. I'd been living in Deer Park Monastery for about 19 years at that time, training young novices and so on. And so I'd actually asked the community if I could come to Australia to spend 3 months traveling around and offering some retreats and being with our only monastery in Australia at that time, which was Nauru, Stream Entering Monastery, and then to return to Plum Village and stay in Plum Village for 2 years. But the universe had a different plan. I arrived in Australia in February 2020, and then our government closed the borders, and I think it was close to 2 years, about 18 months, our borders were closed. So it was impossible to leave. So I simply remained there, and there were some friends who, 3 weeks prior to the borders closing, had said to myself and Brother Kam, we want to offer land to Plum Village for a monastery in the future. So Brother Kam and I went and had a look at this land, and it's very beautiful. How would you feel if Plum Village accepted it, but we really don't have anyone to send there? We won't have anybody for 4 or 5 years to send there. Is that okay? And they said, that's okay. We just want this land to become a practice center. And then just 3 weeks later, the borders were closed. So I said to Brother Kam, would it be okay if I went and stayed on that land? I think the borders are just going to be closed for a very short time. And then the lockdown will be short, and then I'll be able to continue on to Plum Village's plan. And I just like to practice there, to walk on the land, to breathe on the land, to plant the seeds of mindfulness there. And Brother Kam and the other elders of Plum Village said, that's a great idea. So I moved up to that land. The property is in an area of Australia, it's very beautiful, it's in the Blue Mountains. But in 2019, end of 2019, the beginning of 2020, it was where the worst fires were in Australia. It was actually the worst hit village. The flames were leaping 150 meters in the air. It was a very difficult situation. So we arrived there, and the villages, there are only about 600 villages there. When they would speak about that time, their whole bodies would shake. They were really traumatized by the experience. And the whole property had been abandoned. It's about 16 acres, and it had been abandoned, and the grass was probably as high as the chair. We had nothing to cut the grass or anything, just a scythe to cut all of this grass. So it was a very simple situation. So I began to walk, I began to breathe, I just practiced there. And slowly, very slowly, causes and conditions came together, and are still coming together, and will continue to come together for a very long time. Now, from that time when I was alone in what became Mountain Spring, now we're about to have 5 brothers, and we have 10 sisters that are living there. So we're 15 monastics. So, and now on this tour, we actually have 10 monastics with us on this tour in India, this pilgrimage, and we have a total of 34 friends practicing together. So I share this because here in India we have very joyful news that causes and conditions are coming together. I remember coming to the land up in Dehradun in 2008 when we were there, and that Bodhi tree was planted, the tree that was planted such a long time ago. Now it's bearing fruit. This is a very happy moment. And I just want to share, I know there are Hindu maybe listening, please don't think the work will ever be done. It will never be done. Sometimes people say to me, when will Mountain Spring be finished? We had absolutely nothing there. Now we have a small meditation hall that we renovated. One of the sheds is made a small, very simple meditation hall. The local people in the area, one of the things we look for when we're building a practice center is not necessarily physical conditions, like in terms of facilities and so on, but we look for conditions in the local area. So we were lucky enough that where we moved, there are a lot of meditators. We didn't know this in advance, but there are a lot of people in a very Australian way. They don't show it on the outside, but they actually have a lot of experience in meditation. Many of them have been on Vipassana retreats and so on. And so they were watching what we were doing, and they saw when we arrived there, we didn't even have any furniture, which is fine for monastics. We used to just we're used to sitting on the floor, as you can tell, sitting on the floor and these kind of things. And so the local people would bring things to us. They saw that when we would sit on the floor, we would put our bowls on bricks and things. So they brought us a small little table, and then they brought us a bookshelf because they saw we didn't have any where to put shelves and so on. And then they offered their help to build the meditation hall and so on. They all joined together to build. One of them said, before you all came here, we never thought we needed a monastery here, but now we realize we've been waiting for you all along. And so they feel like the monastery belongs to them. And so and people started to come. Practitioners would come to Mountain Spring, even in the COVID time with so many restrictions, they would come to practice. And there was such a temptation. This is not what I was going to talk about, by the way. There was such a temptation to think, oh, we're so poor, we don't have anything, which we really have nowhere. But then I thought to myself, why see it as an obstacle? We can see it as an opportunity. If we're waiting for conditions to be perfect, have all of the things that we need to have, it'll never arrive. Or it will arrive, but we won't have any spirit at all. It will just be a building or so on. What we're really building when we're building a practice center, we're building a sangha, is building a community. That's what we're building. So the first of the three spirits of Mountain Spring was, we'll use what we have. So that we can take it on the surface level. We use what we have, the physical location, we use it. We didn't have a meditation hall? Okay, so we go and sit in the forest. That's what we did. For days of mindfulness, we would gather. We had nowhere to cook, so we asked everybody to bring a vegetarian dish, and we would gather. We would begin with a cup of tea all together and just share with everybody, share whatever Dharma was alive for that day. We would ask everybody to pack some food together, and then we would do walking meditation down to the forest at the back of our property, and we would sit down the back, enjoy sitting meditation and so on, a mindful meal, etc., down in the forest. Very simple like that. We went back to the roots of the day of mindfulness, which was this day of refreshing ourselves. And we didn't feel that we were lacking anything. In fact, it was incredibly rich, incredibly beautiful days, and those people that would come on those days, in the early days of Mountain Spring, still see those days as some of the most precious days that they spent. Use what we have. But also, on a deeper level, it means use the causes and conditions of your own life for your spiritual awakening. Use what you have. You always think that I'm not ready, or I'm not the person. Ask somebody else. Or we try to share what Thay said. This is the temptation when we've met a great teacher like Thay. Share what Thay shared. But Thay has asked us to be his continuation. Share what you have. Thay's planted seeds in each one of you. Each one of you is Thay's continuation. We're meeting Thay in each other. Use what you have. What we have, we'll share. Is the second spirit of Mountain Spring. What we have, we share. So we were in quite a simple situation when we started Mountain Spring. We really didn't have anything. We had a small bag of rice and some salt and a Buddha statue. We didn't have a shrine, we just had a cardboard box for the shrine. And there's such a temptation when you're in that situation to hold on to every physical thing, whether it's food or whatever, to hold on to that. I'm not going to share it. And so we made it kind of a spirit of Mountain Spring. Whatever we have, physical things or the Dharma, even if we think it's very limited, like I myself am somebody with no insight at all, but whatever we have, we share. So if somebody gave us 2 pineapples, we would offer 1. And what surprised us was when we lived like that, there was a program on our mountain, and it touched me very deeply. We were flooded in 2 years, we were flooded in 4 times, completely cut off from the outside world, in addition to all the COVID things. It was quite because of climate change, it was quite an unusual situation. But the whole area banded together and everybody created a program called Mountain of Joy. So everyone would share their excess things, and it kind of became a community pantry, and whoever would need things would be able to go and get it. So nobody went hungry on our mountain. So we were part of that project. It was very beautiful. So physical things, food and so on, but also the Dharma. Whatever we have, we share. And the third spirit of Mountain Spring, the third teaching that came from that land, was that we're not going to ask for anything. We're not going to ask for anything. There's a tendency to always think we need one more thing, and then we'll finally get there. But this doesn't mean to be passive. This doesn't mean to sit back and to not share. But rather it's an invitation into where we are, to offer what we can from where we are. That's what we're called to do. In Mountain Spring belongs to Plum Village, but it's not Plum Village. The culture is different, the climate's different, the people are different, and so on. The kind of things that we can offer at Mountain Spring at this time are kind of different, and we can have a tendency to think, oh, it's not enough, or it's lacking. I wish we could do this, wish we could do that. But what we need to do is to see what's possible where we are, in our time, in our place, in our situation, and offer fully that. Do not think that there's anything lacking. In that way, what we offer can be transformative, it can be healing. So for me, these are the learnings, some of the learnings, there are many that I've had over the last few years in Australia, but that's what I want to offer to those of us who are now embarking on this next chapter here. So the beautiful project that we're embarking on together will be a great gift, and I'm sure it will be. It's a beautiful new chapter that we're embarking on together, and you have my full blessing, full support from across the ocean. I'm very excited about this. It's said by somebody a long time ago that happiness is knowing we're on the right path. We hear this quite often, but even from the experience that I just shared, how do we know we're on the right path? How do we know we're on the right path? I remember a few years ago, we were talking about the art of living with our wonderful hostess previously, and I was thinking of Krishnamurti. Krishnamurti had a center in a town called Ojai, which is in California. It's in Southern California, not too far from Santa Barbara. So a number of years ago now, I was asked to lead a day of mindfulness at the Ojai Foundation, which is next to the Krishnamurti Foundation there in Ojai. And I was very excited to lead this day of mindfulness because it was where my teacher Thay offered his first retreats in the United States. He offered a retreat for artists back in the 80s. So I heard a lot about this place. I got there in the late afternoon, and I was given a yurt to stay in. And next to the yurt was a little brochure that said the Ojai Foundation Gratitude Walk. And this is interesting. So I opened it up, and inside that brochure was a map of the Ojai Foundation. And I looked at it, it had all these different sacred sites of the Ojai Foundation. The teaching tree, which is the big tree under which Thay gave his first Dhamma talks there. And it's very large. It's probably the extent of the branches would be similar to this room. It's very long. And different places like the deep kiva and so on. So I thought, okay, I will go and enjoy this walk tomorrow morning before everyone comes for the day of mindfulness. So I woke up very early the next morning with this plan, and I stepped outside as the sun was coming up over the mountains, and I had this map in my hands, and I began to take some steps, and I got completely lost. So I retraced my steps back to the earth, and I had the map in my hands, and I was looking at it, and so I went the other direction. And again, I got lost. I was not feeling what I should have been feeling in that moment, which was the title of the walk, which was Gratitude Walk. I wasn't feeling gratitude at that moment. I was feeling something different. And I was thinking, what is going on here? I can't find any of these sites. I'm getting lost all the time. So I looked at the map, and I realized that on the map, there were 3 words, "You are here," and an arrow written on that map, drawn on that map. And I realized what was happening. I'd stepped out thinking that where that person had indicated "you are here" indicated the starting point was my starting point, but it wasn't. That was that person's starting point. But I was starting from a completely different place on the map that hadn't been indicated. All of those sites, those landmarks were there. At that moment, I was assuming they were there, but I can tell you they were there. All those landmarks were there. But what I needed to do was to embark on my own journey, not to take the journey of the person who drew that map. "You are here" was true for that person. And it's true in an ultimate sense for me as well, but I was not embarking on my journey from the same place. And so for me, that was a moment of realization, because that's actually the process of a real embodied spiritual life. The great teachers, the Buddha, all the spiritual ancestors have laid out the landmarks for us. And what many of us try to do is to recreate their journey exactly as they had their journey. But what we're invited to do is to embark on our own journey of discovery. We, each of us, have our own causes and conditions in our own life. Different things perhaps brought us to spiritual life. We also have different innate capacities and different interests. And so what we're invited to do is to take that map that's been laid out for us by the wise ones and to embark on our journey. And we will meet, the Buddha has said, the great spiritual teachers have said, we will meet those landmarks. They just may not be in exactly the same order as the Buddha met them, or as the person who drew the map in the Ojai Foundation met them. The word for path, marga. The image that the Buddha gave for the path is not like the road between here and Agra, for example, a big freeway. Actually, he described the path as being like an ancient hunter's path in the forest. It's ancient, overgrown, almost forgotten. It was known to the ancients, and it leads to an ancient city. It's been long forgotten, long abandoned. And that you have to, like a hunter, look down and almost discern, try to find where that path is, that it reveals itself to you step by step. This is the process in the spiritual life of discerning our path. There's that response to the question, which is, I don't know what my real path is, what my true path is, but I'm working on it each and every day. And so one of the qualities of a practitioner that is essential to me, for us to be able to take that journey that each one of us needs to take, is the quality of shraddha, of faith, of confidence. One of the qualities that I really notice most of us as practitioners lack is confidence in our own capacity. There's a practice in Buddhism that we have forgotten. I've often wondered why it's been de-emphasized, but it's actually one of the key recollections that the Buddha invited us as practitioners to do. Often when he taught the recollection of the Triple Jewel, the recollection of the qualities of the Buddha, the qualities of awakening and so on, the recollection of the Dhamma, the recollection of the Sangha, he would then share about the recollection of mindfulness trainings, ethics, but then he also would share about recollection of one's own good qualities. I wonder why we don't talk about this so much anymore. Often we think of it as building up the ego and so on, but it's not. We spend a lot of time beating ourselves up, but this quality of recognizing our own, this capacity of recognizing our own good qualities, the Buddha shared is an essential capacity to develop in order to progress on it. We have a tendency to focus on the things that we need to fix, the things that are wrong, the things that we need to get rid of. And maybe we'll speak a little bit about that in a few moments in terms of the Dhamma. But that which we pay attention to grows stronger. Recognizing our good qualities is not boosting up the ego. Actually, it's a recognition of our fundamental nature. Buddha didn't say that everybody is broken, is horrible, and we have to try to get these qualities from somewhere else. The Buddha said that our essential nature is unobstructed. Our essential nature is good. Every single living being has that capacity, which in technical terms is called the Buddha nature. But it's basically that place that is kind, that place that is open, that place that is unobstructed. And that our practice is to peel back those layers and uncover what's been there all along. Not given to us by somebody else, by grace or so on, but it's there all along. Becoming more fully ourselves. I enjoy some. The Bangladesh tradition belongs to a school of Buddhism that we call the Mahayana path, which means the big or the wide or the great vehicle. And when I consider the qualities of the Mahayana path, one of the fundamental qualities is a quality that we call bodhicitta. This is a very technical term. It literally means awakening consciousness or awakening mind. But I like the word bodhicitta reminds me of something else whenever I hear it. It reminds me of the word bodhicitta. Bodhicitta. For me, the real embodied quality of bodhicitta, one of our friends was sharing with me about bodhicitta earlier. The real embodied manifestation of bodhicitta is becoming a friend, a buddy, to all things. Becoming a friend to all things. Even the things that we don't want, especially the things that we don't want. Being able to have the capacity to look them in the eye and not run anymore. practitioners of the Mahayana path, they make these illogical vows. One of those vows is, living beings are limitless. I'm going to rescue them all. Dharma doors are limitless, so I'm going to study them all. So the way is not, we can't attain the way, so I will attain it. And so on. You can only do that from the basis of a deep confidence in your own capacity or a deep stupidity. Maybe the two go together. But there's another, for me, there's another way to understand this. We make those vows of rescuing all living beings, which, you know, we think like, I want to rescue all living beings, and then we see a person suffering on the street corner 3 steps outside the gate here, and we can't do anything. It's quite humbling. There's another way to understand this. We talk about beings. Often we think of living beings, Sava Bhava, living beings, in Sanskrit or Pali. But Bhava can also mean that which has come to be. It doesn't only mean a living being in the sense of sentient beings. It can also mean that which has come to be. I will look with eyes of compassion on all living beings, on all that has come to be. It's not only a living being like another person or animal or plant. This is a living being for sure. But that which has come to be can be a feeling, can be a perception, can be a situation, and so on. I will develop the capacity to look on everything that comes to be with eyes of compassion. To look at my own sadness, to look at my own anger, to look at my own disappointment, my depression, my jealousy, whatever it might be, with eyes of compassion. I will understand that this is my greatest teacher, come to me in an unexpected form. Greatest teachers of our life are not necessarily people, they're probably not. But they're the things that we wish we could get rid of. I once had somebody share with me, I love my Sangha, except there's just one person that annoys me so much and I wish they wouldn't come. That person is your teacher. Come to you in an unexpected form. I will come to understand those situations of my life. And this way we're not trying to manufacture any kind of experience from somebody else, but actually we're coming to know the Dharma within our own life. You know it much better than me that Dharma can have many different forms, the meaning of the word Dharma. And one form can also mean our way of being in the world. This is very helpful because in Buddhism sometimes people talk about the Dharma. We've made it into a thing rather than an embodiment. And the Buddha's teaching, and especially Thay's teaching, was that it doesn't mean anything if we've learned a lot of technical terms and so on, but we can't apply it in our daily life. Look at the Dharma of your own life. The issues that keep coming up again and again. I have mine. You don't want my issues. You don't want my Dharma. But you have your Dharma. You have the issues of your own life. And those obstacles, those issues, those challenges, the Buddha said to you, in the Four Noble Truths that you can come to understand how they have come to be. You can transform them into what? Into wisdom. The Buddha story, I like to say we've completed the pilgrimage, but I think it's never completed, just like a practice center. It continues. But in some level, we've just completed the pilgrimage. And we visited the sites of the Buddha's life. Buddha was, of course, a historical person who lived 2,600 years ago. But there's also, in a way, a sense that the Buddha's story is also your story as well, on a mythological level. A person who had a very sheltered childhood behind the high palace walls, protected, or trying to protect themselves from life touching them. We all have our strategies. We all have our comfort zones. What was that song? I think some of us probably have studied the play Pygmalion. They had that song. Does anybody know it? All I want is a room somewhere. Let's sing it together. Far away from the cold night air, with one enormous chair of wood, and it'd be lovely. That's how we live our life, people. Behind those high walls. This is our secret, the secret wish of our heart. But as spiritual practitioners, we recognize this and we say, I know you for what you are, Mara. I know you. And we recognize that despite our best and most desperate efforts, life will touch us. The Buddha's noble messages were death, old age, sickness, and then seeing somebody like Brother Hongba, a monastic. These things shocked him to his core. Turned everything he knew upside down. They were his noble messengers. They pulled him out of the palace gates. Each of us has our own noble messengers. They might be similar to the Buddha's. Those messengers that pulled you out of that comfortable chair, that room away from the cold night air. Maybe shocked you to your core, made you uncomfortable, made you question these things. And then the invitation for each of us is not to retreat back into the palace gates, but to keep going. Those noble messengers of your life, whatever they are. If there's anything close to an angel, like they have in Christianity, in Buddhism, it is those noble messengers. And they're often the things that we don't want to see. The Buddha's noble messengers were not angels floating down from the sky, but rather death, old age, these experiences that he was sheltered from. And the Buddha's invitation to each one of us was to allow ourselves to be called forth, not only once, but over and over again. That our journey of discovery is a lifetime journey, that each thing is our practice ground. If there's such a thing as a blessing in Buddhism, it's these noble messengers. A few years ago now, it's probably about, it was 2010, I think. I was at a conference of Buddhist teachers. These things are a delight. We were there and there was a wonderful old teacher. She was amazing. And she was coming towards the end of her life. And she was giving blessings to some of the younger teachers. And she came to me and she said, I wish you a long and painful life. And you know what? I thanked her so much because I realized that that was the greatest blessing anyone could give. It's not the one we usually are expecting. Oh, may you be happy, may you be well. I wish you a long and painful life. certainly happened. But that is the ground from which wisdom will come. If we're never touched, how will we develop understanding? So our choice when we're touched, when we feel uncomfortable, when we feel angry, when we feel challenged, is to recognize our tendency to withdraw back, but then to choose what the Buddha did and to step forward, not only once, but many times, sometimes many times a day. To recognize that we have the capacity to do this. These are where our blessings, where our insight will come from. They're not going to fall from the sky. When I first came to Plum Village, I came from Australian summer into French winter. Came at the end of November. I'd never seen leaves fall from the trees. I'd grown up in the tropical part of Australia, so I came to France and all the trees were bare. It was below 0 Celsius. It was freezing. And at that time, we didn't have any heat, central heating. We just had these temperamental French wood stoves that would sometimes light. And so it was quite cold. And I was given the job to go and help build a greenhouse out in this freezing weather. I was given the job to build this greenhouse with another brother. So we're out in this freezing weather, twisting wire and so on. It was so cold. And I complained to him after the 4th or 5th day, and he was very compassionate. He listened to me. His English was not so good, which is probably why he was compassionate and smiling. But then he just said 2 words to me. Difficulty, welcome. That was all. Difficulty, welcome. And for me, it's always an ongoing process, but I received that as a Dharma blessing. Difficulty, welcome. And if there's one thing I want to share with my Dharma friends, it's that. This is when our practice gets real. As practitioners of the Great Path, this is the capacity that I really hope we'll all have. Be able to welcome difficulty. Be able to see the challenges we have in a way as a blessing, to say, you know what, I've got this going for me too. This is great. I can do this. Because you can. Looking at your situation, up until now, you have had 100% success rate. Right? Here you are. 100% success rate. There's no reason to think that this difficulty is going to be any different. Got a pretty good batting average. I know as Gitu reminded me that Australia won the cricket. But you've got a pretty good batting average. I had to mention it. There's always next time. Sometimes we see written here and there, walk like a Buddha, or sit like a Buddha, and so on. I think the time for that kind of practice is done. Looking at the situation of our world, both the world inside and the world outside, we don't need to walk like a Buddha anymore, to sit like a Buddha anymore, or breathe like a Buddha anymore. We have to walk as a Buddha. Sit as a Buddha. Breathe as a Buddha. This is what the world inside and the world outside needs. There's a fundamental difference. If we're really honest, many of us, in terms of our practice, we practice in order to get something. If I asked you, why are you a practitioner? Then somebody might say, I'm practicing because I want to be peaceful. I want to be happy. I want to be enlightened. And so on. I want to be liberated. We're practicing in order to get something. And also there can sometimes be a sense of practice being something that we need to do, to suffer through, in order to get something later. in some ways we can turn our practice into a job almost. We sit, we walk, we go through this hard labor, this hard training in order to get our salary later. This is a bit of a pity. This is walking like a Buddha, sitting like a Buddha. We're not quite there yet. Thay taught us many times that we are already what we want to become. Maybe we're only part-time Buddhas, but that nature is there. The situation of our world has never been more desperate, both the world outside and the world inside. We have, I really feel, in the Buddhist world, with all humility, a fundamental misunderstanding about the law of practice. If we understand nirvana as being unconditioned, this means it's not caused by anything. It's not created. Any words and concepts can't describe it. If nirvana is not the result, and it's not, the Buddha said it's not the result of anything. Nirvana is not the result of anything. Then nirvana is not cannot be the result of practice. It means practice cannot cause nirvana. It is your essential nature. That which is underlying everything. Can we practice in such a way that our practice is both a cultivation of those qualities and a realization at the same time? We sit in such a way that sit just to sit. We walk just to walk. We breathe just to breathe. Nirvana is not something that's only going to happen in the future. The biggest issue in Buddhism, in Buddhist practice, is not actually suffering, as some people say. It's this tendency that we call bhava, always wanting to become something other than what we are right here and right now. Always wanting to become. I practice to become something or I'm struggling to become. It has this future dimension. But even in the recollection of the Dhamma, the Buddha said the Dhamma is outside of space, outside of time. So it's right here and right now. Practicing in such a way that it's both a cultivation and a fruit at the same time. We begin with the very basic practices of simply recognizing that there's an in-breath and an out-breath. And then we go through our whole practice life. We discover all the subtleties, the in-breath, all the subtleties and out-breath, and so on. And then life will bring us back to simply breathing in and breathing out. Like that old saying of Master Lintu, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Simple like that. Our biggest issue is not the issue of dukkha, not the issue of suffering. That's the way things are. This fact that in this Saha world, things will never be completely perfect. There'll always be something slightly off. The issue is our wish always for something else, somewhere else, anything else than how things are right now. Now, this is not a passivity. The Buddha said it takes 3 forms. We talk about craving, tanha. It actually means thirst. And I like the word thirst a lot better as a translation of tanha than craving. It's thirst. It takes 3 forms. The first is sensual desire, which means being pulled towards or pushing away things that we find pleasant or unpleasant to our senses. And we have a little experience of some of our senses during the beginning part of our sitting meditation, the sounds that we hear, the sensations of our body and so on. Then we have bhavatana. We have the wish for things to become, craving for things to become. And we were just speaking about that a few moments ago, to become peaceful, to become happy. In and of itself, it's a good quality, a good tendency, but we have to recognize that those things that we think are in the future, we need to be able to touch them right here and right now. Walk in such a way that if you're looking for happiness, happiness is the breath you take. Peace is the step you take. And then the third strand of tanha, of thirst, is vibhavatana. The wish to get rid of something, to push it away. These are the three forms that this thirst can take. The fundamental quality of our mind that pulls us away, the fundamental issue that generates the cycle of dukkha within and around us. So for me, my real wish for everybody is to recognize those tendencies, to be able to see them for what they are, and also to hear the Buddha's words that you are enough. When the Buddha woke up, he didn't say, I'm the only one in the world, nobody else can do this. What the Buddha said is, it's said in the legends, how strange. How strange. Every living being has this same capacity. So if the Buddha had confidence in you, I think you owe it to the Buddha to have confidence in your own capacity to wake up as well. To wake up to what? To have the courage to look at the Dharma of your life, to look at the situations of your life, to know that if you shine the light of mindful awareness on those things which have come to be in your own life, that they will, causes and conditions will reveal themselves to you, and they will be, if you allow them to be, the wisdom that you bring to the world. That's the kind of wisdom that the world needs. That's embodied wisdom, and that's something that only you can bring. So that's what I want to offer, my invitation to you this evening. I hope it is useful. So I hope one or two sentences have been helpful tonight. If so, please do me the kindness of putting them into practice. And if it hasn't been helpful, the good news is that this talk is finished. Let's enjoy the sound of the bell. So we can take a few moments to massage our legs if we'd like to. We're going to have a short break just to refresh ourselves, and then we're going to be enjoying some tea and some light refreshments. So one of our organizers will share with us a little about that serving process. But I'd like to suggest that we will come back and we'll try to find a way that we can sort of face each other a little bit so that we can enjoy being together. And during the time that we have our tea, we have our refreshments together, we'll eat and drink our tea for a short time in silence together, and then we can have some sharing. Might be nice to introduce some of the friends from Mountain Spring. All the other monastics send along their presence and want to say hello to all of you. Brother Hongban has come this evening, so we can say hello, and we can meet some of the friends from Sydney and some of the friends from Delhi and Mumbai and others that are here. share with each other after we've had our silent tea and sharing together.
Happiness is here and now. I have dropped my worries. Happiness is here and now. I have dropped my worries. Nowhere to go, nothing to do, no longer in a hurry. Happiness is here and now. I have dropped my worries. Nowhere to go, nothing to do. No, I don't need to hurry.
Hindi translation.
मैंने चिंताओं को है छोड़ा, ना कहीं जाना, ना कुछ करना, ना किसी बात की है जल्दी। खुशियाँ यहाँ और अभी, मैंने चिंताओं को है छोड़ा। कहीं है जाना, कुछ है करना, लेकिन नहीं कोई जल्दी, लेकिन नहीं कोई जल्दी।
Australian Sangha, what's your favorite song? Any suggestions? Grace.
Australian Sangha.
Okay.
Australian Sangha.
Yeah. Right, we put it there.
Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. I am blooming as a flower. I am fresh as the dew. So we just got the okay. Okay, so others if you could.
Eating the food, and a shade of feeling emerges. It's actually quite a pleasant experience. That moment when you've just swallowed food and it's entering your body. And then at the moment, if I asked you to point to yourself and somebody pointed to the samosa, you might call the hospital or something. Because you think that's a little bit crazy. But actually, this food here is going to enter your body, and maybe it will become a dharma talk. It will become a footstep. It will become words of peace, words of compassion, words of forgiveness. It will become part of yourself. It crosses that invisible line. So it's quite accurate in some way when somebody asks you to point to yourself, to point to this food. So when somebody offers you food, they're offering you something very deep. It's one of the most intimate acts that somebody can actually do. So this is a very beautiful moment to be able to receive a gift from the whole universe. So we'll have a chance to just eat together in silence in this way, savoring the taste, the smell, and the activities, the actions that I just shared. So we'll eat together in silence for about 10 minutes or so, and then we'll open up for some sharing. Does that sound good for everybody? Please enjoy. Do we have a way to say bon appetit in India? How do we say Mahaba? No.
No. She said maza karo, which means have fun.
Have fun. Maza karo. Maza karo. Okay. tea? So delicious. Did anybody have any realizations, any discoveries while we were practicing eating? Okay, we look forward to hearing them. I think I'd like to invite the Australian Sangha to offer you a song. We often do this chant at retreats, so when we come together as a Sangha and enjoy a meal, we used to teach it to the children in Deer Park Monastery, and it's a very beautiful chant. The words are, "Thank you for the food, it's healing me." Sometimes with children, we'll go around the circle and ask them all to say something we're grateful for, and then we'll sing that. But often we'll do it at a retreat after a meal as a way of saying thank you to the cooks. So we'll do that here to say thank you to those who prepared the food and served it. So can you help me, Australian Sangha? Thank you for the food. 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 It's healing, it's healing, it's healing me. It's healing, it's healing, it's healing me. This is a very mindful house. We're so lucky to have the sounds of the bell. So I thought it'd be nice, since we're sitting together in this family style, we could just have time for some sharing. If anybody wants to share anything or ask anything, they can. And then maybe we can just invite somebody from the Australian Sangha to say something, and then we'll pass around the microphone. It'd be lovely to hear from a few people. So maybe we'll invite Liz.
Thank you, Brother Phap. I'm Liz. I'm from the Sydney Sangha, and for me, I'm sitting with a lot of joy of the journey that we've come so far with ancient steps, and yet we've had a modern perspective with our teacher, and it's such a delight to see that Thay's teachings are all around us, not just in Australia, 18,000 kilometres away, but here. So that's what I'm sitting with tonight, and so much gratitude for the welcome that we've received and the future friendships that we will have as a result of this. Thank you, December. That's right. I think this lady, my mum's
Dear friends, my name is Grace. I'm also really enjoying so much being here with you all tonight. And although I was also very interested to hear the talk, I was very interested to meet the Delhi Sangha also. And we've actually been travelling for 3 weeks now, and a lot of us are quite tired. And actually, your mindful energy and presence is very nourishing. So I felt when I came in the room very relaxed and in a very comfortable place. So thank you so much for having us and letting us come and sit with you. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm Seema from the Mumbai Sangha. We are growing little by little. So I think the go as a river. I feel that coming alive a lot more now, because not so long ago, some of us went for a pilgrimage in the footsteps of the Buddha. Some of us were from Bombay, and I was back home in Bombay, and last Thursday I was back here joining the Delhi Sangha with Walk With Me, and then I'm back here right now. So yes, now I really feel like it's going as a river. And this morning I'm a teacher in school, so this morning I was at school, I took a class, and then I had booked a cab and I flew, and then getting here, I got here at 4 o'clock. I entered your receptacle, So I found the journey from the flight to the connecting trains to the road, it reminded me a lot of my journeys to Plum Village. It's the same, slowing down, easing into the space. So it's just been wonderful. Thank you.
Students on would like to, maybe we can do one Indian and one Australian.
That's good.
And maybe we could do this one, yeah.
It's close, it's close.
Dear Thay, Sangha. Hi, my name is Belinda. It's so nice to be here with you all. I got quite emotional hearing you sing. Hearing you sing happiness in Hindi.
Can we louder, please?
Or repeat. I got quite emotional hearing you sing happiness in Hindi. My Sangha friends from Sydney know, but I spent a lot of my childhood in Mumbai and Chennai, and I haven't been back in 20 years. And it just felt like this coming together of the pieces of myself. And it felt like the Sangha really has arrived in Thay's continuation back again in India. And that coming together made me feel really whole. So thank you for your hospitality, and thank you for your kind and loving work in being Thay's beautiful continuation. Thank you.
Yeah, I have a question for brother. Brother, when you said that, you meditate to be peaceful, etc., etc. So, I don't know, I mean, is there something wrong with that? Because, maybe in a sense you have said, how would you meditate to be peaceful? To get something, exactly, yeah. I mean, what is wrong with that? Thanks.
The wonderful thing about Buddhism is that we can understand it on many levels, and it's not that one level is better than another. But all of us, if we're really honest with ourselves, we begin to meditate because we want to get something. It brings us in the door. When we want to, or we want to get rid of something. We want to get rid of our suffering, our pain, or something. And so in Buddhism, we actually call something like that an upaya, a skillful means. It brings us in the door. And then you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. If that's a skillful means. But there's another way to understand it as well. There's another way to approach it, and that is to understand that whatever we've been looking for, or whatever we think we need to become, is there already. It's our essential nature. So it's like the two sides of the one coin. It brings us in, and then we kind of think, oh, we need to practice in order to get that thing, but then we actually discover that it's our essential nature. It's been here all along. So I don't know, does that count as Indian Sangha sharing, or should we have one more and then go back to the Australian Sangha?
It's a combo effect. It's a combo effect.
Combo effect. Okay, so that was India, Australia, India. So let us see.
Still playing the World Cup finals.
Yes.
India will win for sure. You know, I tend to be in quite dangerous situations. Last time I was in Vietnam, it was the World Cup of soccer, Vietnam versus Australia. People ask me, who do you support? I say, I'm in the middle.
It's too far. It's Lucky, let it go. So, well, first of all, I want to thank you for all your lovely YouTube videos and all the sharing and all the beautiful talks. I remember during the pandemic, I was following you religiously, and I think my favorite talk is, and my favorite story of yours is the one with the baguette. Yeah, where you had to give back the baguette because your bowl was full, and you talked about volition. Unfortunately, YouTube has taken the volition talk out of its this thing. So if you can actually, have someone put it back. In fact, I asked Ali as well. I said, please ask Brother Phap to put that back because it's such a beautiful talk. But from today, it's actually brought up something within me which I get when you say that you come into the practice because you want something. You want peace, you want freedom maybe. We don't even know what freedom means, but we want it. And then you get into a difficult situation, and then the first thing that confronts you is your own habit energies. And then you stop. And then that practice sort of seems to sort of slow down because you don't know what's happening, what is your touchstone. So I just wanted some help on that. This is again a combo. Thank you.
Well, I want to hear what other people have to say about this. Has anybody else had that experience? No one else? Okay, so down here in the corner, there was a hand that went right up. Let's hear our sister's experience about this.
Just that, we have in this practice, for
No, it's okay. She has to hold it.
So I didn't practice for many years, but like Mala said, that whenever there is a situation, sometimes you do overcome it, deal with that situation more mindfully. But sometimes it's your old habit energy which is again comes back and you tend to react. And later on you realize that, oh, wait, I wasn't supposed to do that. So, so then how do we
move forward?
How do you move forward?
Because you talked about moving forward and creating the conditions. So, you want to say something?
Thank you. Thank you so much, brother. I cannot add on to the question without first thanking you for the wonderful meditation. I actually have to say that my shoulders are not paining. I don't know how. So I definitely want to take the recording home, and that's what I'm going to do. So it was wonderful. And I think I had a very similar question. In fact, when Mala was saying a question, my thought was, me too. And now I have the mic. So the conditions are right. And I think for me, the question was, somehow the practice has at least helped me now catch that I am difficulty welcome. It's got me to that stage, but I'm not skillful to do anything further. So, since you have your words have seemed you have just got a common thread inside, I'd love you to share in your simple way, as always, what to do when you come to that stage and you're saying difficulty welcome, but then how can I be more skillful? Thank you.
One of our friends, our friend from Sheena from Mumbai, bought me a book to sign this evening, and I signed it. In that book, I tell the story of my grandmother's house, my grandparents' house, and in that house, it was always the 1970s. They had, even well into the 90s, they had the shag pile carpet, they had the avocado green and brown wallpaper, and these kind of things that we all remember, well, those of us at my age remember from, and beyond, remember from the 70s. So in one of the rooms, they had the shag pile carpet, and over the years, from the chairs to the different doorways, tracks had been worn down in the shag pile carpet from the pathways that they'd walked. So they would always walk this way to the kitchen, this way to the bedroom, and you could see exactly where they were walking. So in Buddhism, there are a lot of different technical terms, and one of the technical terms that in Plum Village we translate as habit energies, klesha, we translate as habit energies. I like to think of it as tracks in the carpet. We all have our tracks in the carpet. We have our well-worn patterns of response. And for each one of us, it's different. So part of the practice of mindfulness, the concrete practice of mindfulness, is recognition, as I shared earlier. So we first begin by seemingly simple things. We recognize our breath. What for? Because as we go through the exercises of breathing, we become sensitized to the breath, such as in, out, and then we begin to notice that each breath is different. We begin to notice the rhythm of breathing. Nobody needs to tell you that the next exercise in the Anapanasati is deep and slow, because you begin to recognize yourself that each breath is different. And then you begin to become aware of your whole body. You begin to notice how your breath interacts with your whole body. Then you start to notice in and of itself the different frames of mind that you have. The different things that are going on in your mind. You become more sensitive to the more subtle aspects, and it goes on and on and on. So in the same way, in training with breath, we're training for life. We're training with life. We begin to, along with becoming aware of our breathing, we begin to develop the capacity to begin to recognize what's taking place. So we start to begin to recognize other things as well. Earlier, we focused on the sense impressions that we had. So we begin to notice those sense impressions, and we begin to notice our responses to those, our reactions to those. Most of the time, they're unconscious. So a smell will happen, and we'll have a certain kind of pattern of behavior based on our own family history, our environmental factors, etc., etc. We begin to become aware of the stimulus, and we begin to notice our response. So in the beginning, we might notice it, whether it's a response in terms of just a quick inner response, or it's a whole pattern of behavior that we call a habit energy, or pattern of thinking that we call a habit energy, because a habit energy is not only an outward manifestation, it can be a pattern of thinking. Somebody comes into the room and talks to everybody except us. What do we think? Now, if you've had certain experiences, you might think, oh, it's so good, I'm free. And other people might think, they don't like me. Why don't they like me? Oh, I'm unlovable. And it goes on and on and on and on like this, right? So we begin to notice the physical behavior, or we begin to notice the patterns of thinking. Maybe we notice it after it's been going on for a little while. So what we do is, first of all, taste it, recognize it, and smile to it. Now, that's an important thing. Sometimes we make it too serious, or we make it a big thing, it becomes bigger. But we just say, you know what, it's okay. It's all right. We have a little bit of fun with it. I like to say, have a sense of humor about it. Play with it. And then you recognize it, and then when you recognize it, there's a possibility to be playful with it and choose a different response. Try something else in that moment, see what happens. In Buddhism, there's a technical term called thaga, which means, the actual literal translation is disenchantment. But what it actually means is there's no more nostalgia for something. So after recognizing something, we're going to have to recognize these patterns of behavior for quite a while and practice playing with them a little bit for quite a while. And we notice them earlier and earlier and earlier. And then there comes a point in which we know what stimulates certain things. And we're in a situation where we choose not to consciously stimulate those habit energies, those patterns of thinking or those behavior. And then through not stimulating it for a while, it becomes weaker. And then we begin to recognize, what purpose did that habit energy serve? What did it have to teach me? Often we can't recognize it when we're in the whole throes of it. But over some time, by directing this mindful energy towards it, becoming curious about it, becoming curious where it came from, then we can come to an understanding of it. We can understand its purpose. And then something begins to emerge with some habit energies that we might consider to be negative. And this is what we call thaga, or disenchantment, to use the technical term. But I like no more nostalgia. Because it means that we just feel like, you know what, it had a purpose. That habit energy was there for some reason. It might be a joyful habit energy, it might be a painful habit energy, but it was there for a reason. But it's done. It's done. It was great, but it's done. I don't need that anymore. And it's like it doesn't disappear entirely. Because we all, for example, if we have angry habit energies, that anger doesn't disappear. It's always there, but the energy transforms. You can't get rid of the seed of anger. It's always going to be there. But we begin to become aware of what stimulates it, and we begin to understand its causes and conditions, and in that way, the energy begins to transform. With habit energies in general, from my experience, with some of them, you get that energy of no more nostalgia. It's old and played out. Some of our habit energies come not only from our own life, but from the lives of our forebears. There's a wonderful book called It Didn't Start With You. Has anyone read it? It's by, yeah, you've read, isn't it an amazing book? Oh, I should be getting a commission. Dr. Mark Willin, fantastic book. There are habit energies of pain that are transmitted through family lines, but also patterns of joy as well. It's a wonderful book, so I really recommend it. Hope that's helpful. Any other sharings? Maybe one from the Australian saga. Let's see, Ben.
Hello. That's what our tour guide says on our bus every morning. This is my third time in India. Each time it's been a shock to the system. It's very different to Australia. There's a lot more humanity, a lot more people here. A lot more, feeling like there's a lot of chaos going on compared to what we're used to in Australia. Every single time I've landed in New Delhi, it's been such a shock to the system. But I think this is the only time. This is the first time I've been here where I've practiced. I've practiced with Thay and practiced the way of that the Buddha taught us, and it's really helped. I think it's really helped me be able to respond to those feelings of trying to withdraw, having to withdraw from what I see, what I feel, what I sense around me. So I'm really grateful that I've found this practice. Thank you so much for hosting Mountain Spring. It's we've really I have really enjoyed my time so far with all the food and the tea that you've offered. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Amrita from Megaphone. So what I liked, what was my takeaway, if you talk about, was when you said, when you left the bag down and you said, and then she said, during the walking meditation also, we should try and do that. And that happened beautifully for me. I loved the walking meditation. And in Hindi, here we call it ah se aha tak. So is pain, aha is what you said. So it's from pain to happiness. So it is very nice. Thank you so much. And then thank you.
Dear Thay, dear Sangha, I'm Georgie from Sydney. I'm so very touched with this evening. Thank you so very much for your really warm and genuine welcome. I feel very much like coming home and meeting family. Your energy, your sharing, hospitality and kindness has touched me so very deeply. And similar to my sister Belinda, when you were sharing the beautiful singing in Hindi and happiness, tears just naturally rolled down my cheeks as well. It was like meeting long lost family members. This is an unforgettable evening for me, and I hope to see you in Mountain Spring one day. So may we be able to return the welcome. Thank you so much.
I didn't ask for this. Thank you, brother. It's been a lovely, lovely evening. And I was actually very surprised to see all the Australians here. A while back, my sister lives in Australia, in Melbourne, and I've been there a few times, and the son is married to a Chinese girl, and her mother was a part of the pilgrimage with Shantam, and she really did enjoy it. And I don't think she knows a Sangha exists in Australia, so I would really like to know a little bit more about it, so that she can participate in the Sangha. She would love to be a part of it. I don't know if anything like this exists in Melbourne, but it does. It doesn't. Okay, I'd be happy to share it with us. But I'm really delighted that you're here. And yes, Delhi, India is a bit of a shock to begin with, but it is like a curry. You have a little bit of this masala and a little bit of that masala, but together it's this really fantastic thing. And the best part of India is the warm embrace that everybody sort of envelops you with. So I do hope that you've had a very, very happy time in India, and you will think of us kindly. And we even allowed the Aussies to win this time, just Thank you.
She said India was such a good host to allow us.
you, brother. My name is Sheila, and I'm I really got a lot out of you being here, and also it was wonderful that the Australian Sangha was with us. It was such a, it's like one of my sisters from Australia said, it's like long lost family. It felt like we knew each other, as you said. But I wanted to say that I really liked what you said about how the energy of wanting to become something, which brings a lot of us into meditation and into the practice. We're always thinking of becoming something other than we are. And your words about how Buddha said you're enough came very welcome. And also about what you said that Thay wants us to be a continuation, not an echo of him. And that was also very, it went very deep for me, what you said. And that about that brother telling you difficulty, welcome. And it was all very, it was beautiful to practice together and to know, to get to know the Australian Sangha as well. Thank you so much.
Sorry, maybe I'm out of line. Like, I think there should be an Australian person before me, but still, I thought I'd just like to. Yeah, what really touched me a lot, especially because it's so much with us and been with us, especially the last year, has been bringing our center together in Dehradun. And yeah, and I think what you shared was just so special and so beautiful. And there have been many obstacles, of course, and those causes and conditions just haven't realized themselves in many years. And it's just so beautiful that that process is now, the wheels are turning faster, and hopefully we'll be there soon. But I think there was so much you said that felt so relevant, especially about just starting just the way we are and not necessarily having to have it all perfect and all planned and just so many aspects of that process and not to ask for anything. So I just wanted to say that was really very special to hear that, and hopefully all of your blessings, we will also have our center running soon there.
Thank you, brother, for a very heart-touching talk. I think I needed to hear. You said difficulty welcome. With the practice, I've come to this realization and acknowledgement that life will keep bringing things. So hearing this difficulty welcome, it's like a fresh way to see it. So thank you so much for saying this. It just there was so much of energy which was coming up, just settled down in a form of peace and being okay with it. There's one thing that I was reminded, in fact, since last few months I've been thinking that I wish there is a breather I wish I can take a breath and then I can go on receiving and dealing with whatever's coming up. So, what would you like to say about asking for a breather for some time so that you're ready again to?
I don't live in a marble palace. I don't live sitting on lotus flowers or something, although we do. You know, I live in the real world. And there are so many times like that I have felt that I couldn't take another step. It's just not possible. Cannot take another step. But then you do. Then you do. Just, I remember when it's been very, very difficult, and sometimes it's really been so difficult for me that I've been in those situations. I think of Thay. I remember Thay he did not have an easy situation. But I remember in Korea, the one thing that's gotten me through very difficult times, especially over the last 3 years, was thinking of Thay in Korea in 2014. It was 2013, I'm sorry. And we were there, and he was already beginning to become weaker before his stroke. So we were in a temple, and Thay was going to give a Dharma talk. There were 20,000 people waiting, 20,000 for this Dharma talk. And Thay was so publicly, like people couldn't see, but we all could see how weak Thay was. So this day, Thay just couldn't stand. He was laying in the bed. He was in so much pain. He just couldn't get up. And then, so he just said to the monastics, he said to his attendants, I don't think I can give the talk. So they planned, and I recall that they'd asked Thay and a couple of other sisters and brothers to give a panel talk instead of Thay to everybody, so they were prepared. And then Thay said, tell the brothers and sisters to go out and do a long guided meditation, and then to chant Namo Valo, and then Thay and the other brothers and sisters can give a Dhamma talk. So Thay was in his room, just laying on the bed in so much pain. And then he said to his attendants, he said, I'm just going to try sitting up. That's all I'm going to do. So he just sat up, and sat for a while. And then he said, I'm going to try standing up. That's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to stand up. Maybe I'll just try to put on my robe. So he just tried to put on his robe. And then I'll try to take a couple of steps. So he just took a couple of steps, very, very slowly. He just took a couple of steps. And so meanwhile, sisters and brothers were on the stage, they were doing the guided meditation and Namo Valo and things. So slowly, just by taking a step, Thay came out. And then as he came out, because he said, I'm just going to walk a few steps, and he came out, he said, maybe I'll just go and sit on stage and be with the Sangha. And sat on stage and be with the Sangha. And then, so the brothers and sisters moved to the side, Thay sat in the middle. And then Thay said to Thay, maybe I'll just share a few words and then you can give the talk later on. And then Thay gave the talk. Sometimes it's like that. Many times it's like that. Most times it's going to be like that. That's for me, that's a really hard truth. I'm not going to sit here and say that life only gives us what we can handle, because that's not the case. It never has been. But somehow, most of the time, we end up being able to, with the grace of the practice, by simply taking another step. And I use the example of, on a very light level, of the grass in Mountain Spring, all of these acres. The Australian Sangha can tell you there are a lot of acres of grass, and it was this high. And if I look at the whole amount and the derelict state of everything, it was like, how on earth would I do this? I'm somebody who actually is quite ill and has to have blood transfusions every month and all these kind of things. I'm very ill. How on earth can I do this? And so I learned from Thay. If I look up and I look at the whole thing, there's no way I can do all of that. But with the scythe, we had a scythe to, that's all we had. So I was able to cut just this little piece, and then this little piece, and then this little piece, and this little piece. And slowly the glass or the buildings or building the sun, and then it all comes together like that. So we take a step, we take a step, we take a step. And we also, the other teaching from this is not only just taking a little step and a little step, doing that one thing to not be immobile. But also what Thay did was connect with the energy of the Sangha. And the energy of the Sangha has its own power. So that's what I would say.
On behalf of my brothers and sisters in the Sangha here, and on behalf of Ahimsa Trust, just want to say thank you to you, brother, for this wonderful, wonderful evening, and all the monastics with you, and to the Australian Sangha who have shared with us their wisdom, their joy, their love, and of course to all my brothers and sisters. And as brother shared about the monastery, the new monastery in Australia, and you shared the third principle that whatever we have, we share. The second one, right? Whatever we have, we share. So with that of whatever we have, we share, I want to just say that the concept of dana in Buddhism, to share, to give, to donate. Ahimsa Trust and all of us in all the sanghas, as you know, are volunteers, and we work to bring to share what we have received so beautifully from Thay and the teachings and the practices. And we would be grateful if, as you walked out, you saw the box there that says donation, and share with our Sangha so that we may grow in quality and quantity. Thank you all.
I want to propose that just as we come to a close this evening, it's such a miracle that we can all be together like this. We've all come from so many different places, and now we're going to be moving out to so many different places as well. In Mountain Spring, whenever we complete an activity together, we like to dedicate the merit. So we like to share the merit, to think of all the people, the places, the situations, or maybe even places of our own heart that we'd like to dedicate the positive potential that we've generated together to. So we like to recite to chant together the closing verse, and I think most of us here will know it. So let's just, sorry.
Yeah, I think before we really close, we also would like to thank Premadi.
Definitely.
Who has given such a wonderful space. And I have been knowing her for the last, I don't know how many years. A lot of teaching has taken place here. She has been very, very hospitable, and we really would like to thank you. In fact, I think when the venue was thought, Jitu said, why not Premadi's place? That is how it really thank you. And to all the participants from India who have really come from the different parts, like Seema said that she finished her school and take the flight from Bombay and comes here. It's really so wonderful to have all of you here. And it's really wonderful to have you here. I think in the beginning, I remember you used the word delicious twice. Yeah. What is the profession you can associate with this word delicious? Chef. Brother was chef before he became the monastery. That's why you must have seen how palatable was his talk. Yeah. It's a really, I should say, wonderful. At least to me, it's almost like saying what kind of the direction one should really have in life. If one is on dharma path, are we really continuing with that? There's a beautiful story. The aircraft was cruising at the height of 30,000, and the pilot said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I have two news to give. Which one I should give first?" Everyone thought, what kind of the news? They thought, why not to hear the good news? So then he said, okay, don't worry. The first news, we have everything in the aircraft. We have fuel, we have water, we have food to eat, everything. All were very happy. Then he said, do you want to listen to the second one? They all said that yes. The second news, which is bad, is that we have lost the direction. So somehow, I think our life in Zara seems to be like that. So the talks like this brings us back. You need to have a particular direction. So I think we really value that. I think it really reminds, be very steady. And you said that walk like Buddha, sit like Buddha. Huh?
Not like
As Buddha. Yeah, as Buddha. That's right. In fact, I remember one of the Indian philosophers said, don't be Buddhist, be Buddha. So I think ultimately our destination is really that. Thanks for reminding. Thank you very much. And I think Indian Sangha and Mountain Spring can have a MOU also to have a formal visit.
Sister monasteries.
Yeah.
So we invite everybody to join our palms at the level of our heart and just bring to mind those people, those places, those situations, or maybe even places of our own heart we want to dedicate the merit to dedicate this energy to. Sitting together, practicing the way of awareness gives rise to benefits without limit. We vow to share the fruits with all beings. We vow to offer tribute to Christ's teachers, friends, and numerous beings who give guidance and support along the path. Sangha, I think it wouldn't be Plum Village Sangha if we didn't end with one song. This song is called Make New Friends, but Keep the Old. One is silver, but the other is gold. Does anyone know this song?
Yes.
All right.
Class 2.
All right, good. And then it goes, a circle is round, it has no end. That's how long I'm going to be your friend. How many of us know it? Okay, a few of us.
I don't know your tune.
Okay. Make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver and the other's gold. Make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver and the other's gold. A circle is round, it has no end. That's how long I'm gonna be your friend. Make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver and the other's gold. A circle is round, it has no end. That's how long I'm gonna be your friend. Happy continuation. I remember last time, I'm not going to make the same mistake again. Gitu will remember, last time we had a session for teachers at one of the schools here in Delhi. And after the day was over, I sat on the stage with Gitu and we were just chatting, debriefing about the day. And then I noticed that everybody was still standing there and standing there in the hall. And I said, oh, everybody's so polite, like you haven't gone yet. And they said, we need to wait for you to leave. So we will make our way out the door. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful.